If you're watching this, someone you love is choosing their addiction over you. And I know how much that hurts. Probably said to yourself, how can they choose alcohol over our marriage? How can they choose pills over being present with our kids? How can they keep doing this when they can see what it's doing to me? I want you to know you're not crazy for feeling this way. The pain you're feeling is real. The abandonment, the rejection, the feeling of coming in second place to a substance, that's all legitimate. But what if I told you they're not actually choosing addiction over you? What the neuroscience shows us is something completely different is happening. And what if understanding this changes everything about how you interact with them? So before I go any further, hit that subscribe button because this is exactly the kind of content we break down every single week. And I don't want you to miss any of it. Now, let me show you what's really going on here. When your loved one is in a calm state, maybe Sunday morning after a rough Saturday night, they genuinely mean it when they say, I'm done. I'm choosing you. I'm going to stop. In that moment, they're choosing you. Their prefrontal cortex is online. They can see the consequences. They feel the guilt and they want to change. But here's what I want you to understand about how addiction happens in the brain. I had a client, let's call her Sarah, who said to me, Amber, every Sunday he cries. He promises this is the last time, and I believe him because I can see it in his eyes. But by Thursday, he's back drinking again. Is he just a liar? And I said, no, he's not really lying to you as much as it is his brain is lying to him. In that moment when they're about to use, their brain is feeding them lies that make the choice feel safe. Like, I'll just have a couple and I'll stop before it goes too far and she won't know, so it won't hurt her. Or I'll pay the money back before anyone notices that it's gone. This one time won't matter, or I'll stop tomorrow. They actually believe these lies in the moment. It's not that they're consciously choosing to hurt you. It's that their brain is minimizing the risk and maximizing the reward to get what it wants. You know how you can look back on something you did as a teenager and think, what was I thinking? That's because your teenage brain wasn't fully developed yet. That part that weighs consequences, that light switch, or the volume, as I like to say, is turned way down. Or you can think of a time when you've been in love. You know that saying, love is blind? That is real neuroscience. When you're in that state, that part of your brain that would normally say, wait, this person has like 7 red flags, the volume gets turned way down. You literally can't see the danger clearly because your brain is flooded with chemicals that override your better judgment. That's what's happening in active addiction. Except instead of falling in love, they're in a relationship with a substance. Just like being in love, their ability to weigh the consequences and the danger is severely compromised. In active addiction, it's like someone turned the volume way down on that part of their brain that understands consequences and danger. That voice that's saying, this is going to destroy your wife. This might cost you your job. It's still there, but it's like barely a whisper. Meanwhile, the craving, that is at full volume, and it's the only thing they can hear. The way I like to think about it is like, you know, the whole like devil on one shoulder and angel on the other shoulder. I want you to just imagine that devil like ran over there and put some duct tape over the angel's mouth so that it's the only one that can talk to you. Or maybe like it's standing there with like a remote control and it presses the mute button on the angel part. It's not that that part of your brain isn't there. It's just that you can't really hear it because the other thing is screaming too loud. That's the way I like to think about it. But let's look at what the research says is actually happening. When researchers look at brain scans of people in active addiction, you know what those scans look like? Pretty much like 3 other states. Like the brain of a teenager, the brain of someone who's fallen in love or infatuated, or even the brain of someone having an affair. I'm not saying this to minimize what you're going through, so stick with me. In all of these states, the same thing is happening. The part of the brain responsible for weighing consequences, for connecting, if I do this, then that will happen, that part is significantly quieted. The volume is turned way down. Think about a teenager. They know that getting in a car with a drunk driver is dangerous. They've been told. They're not stupid. But in the moment, their brain cannot accurately assess the risk. That's not an excuse. It's neuroscience. The teenage brain isn't fully developed in the consequences assessment area. Or, like I said, being freshly in love, the whole love is blind thing, right? Your friends are seeing red flags everywhere. They're telling you this person is bad news, but you literally cannot see it. Your brain is flooded with the chemicals that turn down the volume on the danger signals and turn up the this person is amazing side. It's even sort of similar to what happens when someone's having an affair. They know it's wrong. They know it could cost them their marriage, their family, their reputation, but their brain is telling them lies. I can manage this. No one will find out. My marriage is already over anyway. This isn't really that bad. Brain scans show the same pattern. Consequence assessment is compromised. Immediate reward is amplified. Now, this is really important, okay? I'm not saying that addiction isn't betrayal. It absolutely is. The lying, the broken promises, the stolen money, the choosing to use when they promised they wouldn't, that is betrayal. It's real, and your pain is legitimate. What I am saying is they're not making these choices with a fully functioning brain, just like the person who has an affair isn't. Understanding the neuroscience doesn't excuse the behavior, but it does help you understand why they can promise with complete sincerity on Sunday and then use again on Thursday. They can see your pain and still do it again. They can know the consequences and still not be able to stop. They can love you deeply and still betray you. The science doesn't lie. In active addiction, their ability to connect the dots and accurately weigh risk to override immediate gratification, it's compromised. Not gone, but significantly dimmed. Sarah's husband would later tell her, after he got sober, I knew what I was doing was wrong. I could see your face. I could see the hurt. But in that moment, my brain would tell me, she's overreacting. It's not that bad. I can handle this. I'll make it up to her. And I believed it every single time. He wasn't using alcohol, at least not consciously, over her. His brain was compromising his ability to accurately assess the situation. Just like a teenager can't accurately assess, if I do this stupid thing at a party, what are the real consequences? The addicted brain can't accurately assess either. If I drink tonight, what will this cost me? They know there are consequences, just like you know when you're falling for someone who's wrong with you. But the knowing and the doing are two different parts of the brain. In an active addiction, the part that knows is running with the volume turned way down. So when the craving hits, when the stress builds, when that activated state kicks in, not only does the volume turn down on the consequences, but the lies start flowing. In that active addiction moment, they're not weighing alcohol versus my wife or pills versus the kids. They're in fight or flight. Their addicted brain is screaming, danger, fix this now. And the only solution it knows is the substance or the addictive behavior. So when you say they're choosing addiction over me, what's really happening is their brain is in survival mode and you've accidentally become part of the threat. Think about it. You represent the consequences, the reality. You represent the pain that they're trying to escape. When you're begging them to stop, when you're crying, when you're angry, their brain categorizes you as part of the danger. Definitely not part of the solution. So this is why a confrontational approach backfires. The brain just can't process in that activated state. Another client told me, I've tried everything. I've begged, I've threatened to leave, I've poured out the bottles, I've made him promise, and nothing ever changes. What am I doing wrong? The truth is, you've probably been stuck in this pattern. I bet a lot of you know what it's like to be stuck in this pattern. When you're oscillating back and forth between trying to save them, confronting, demanding change, and feeling helpless and hurt. Every position you take in that pattern, it actually reinforces the addictive cycle because it keeps their brain in that activated defensive state where the only relief is the substance or addictive behavior. Now, if you're watching this and you've been in active addiction before, if you're in recovery now and you remember how it felt from the inside, I want to ask you to do something. Leave a comment below and tell people what it was like. What lies did your brain tell you? What did it feel like when someone you loved was begging you to stop and you just couldn't connect the dot? Because there are people watching this who love someone with an addiction and they need to hear this from you. They need to understand this isn't just theory, this is real. And hearing it from someone who's lived it, that might be what helps them stop taking it so personally and start approaching things differently. If you're willing to share your experience, drop it in the comments. You might be helping someone's family member understand what they're really dealing with. So now that you understand that they're not choosing addiction over you, their brain Has the volume turned way down on the consequences and way up on the craving? The lies feel true in the moment. The risk assessment is compromised. So, what do you do with this information? If you're sitting there thinking, okay, Amber, I get it, but what do I actually do to turn the volume back up? How do I help them see the situation clearly? Well, that's exactly what we cover in our Motivation Unlocked challenge. In the challenge, we walk you through the specific strategies that influence their brain out of that compromised state, not through confrontation, not through begging, but through understanding how motivation works in an addicted brain. The link is in the description below. Now, let me give you one key shift you need to understand. So, if they're not actually choosing addiction over you, if their brain is hijacked in survival mode, then what do? You stop trying to be chosen and you start targeting the foundations of their denial instead of attacking the denial itself. Here's what I mean. When you're in that activated state, when the volume is turned down on the consequence, your job is not to confront them, lecture them, demand change, because in that moment, you've accidentally become part of the threat signal. You represent consequences, reality, pain that they're trying to escape. This doesn't mean you become a doormat. This doesn't mean you enable, but it does mean that you stop trying to turn the volume up with force. You can't shame someone into thinking more clearly. You can't yell at someone into accurate risk assessment. But what you can do is refuse to participate in the cycle, not by arguing, but by your behavior. Instead of, I can't believe you're drinking again. You promised me. How could you choose alcohol over your family? Try something like, I can see you've been drinking tonight. I'm going to go hang out at my sister's. I'll check in tomorrow. You're not attacking. You're not rescuing. You're just holding your boundary while staying emotionally regulated. Sarah, that client I mentioned earlier, she stopped asking him to choose her. She stopped the Sunday morning, do you promise conversations. She stopped trying to convince him he had a problem. Instead, she got crystal clear on her boundaries. She stopped managing his emotions and she started living her life fully, whether he was or wasn't drinking. And here's what happened. Within 3 months, he started asking her what was different because she wasn't playing the same role anymore. She wasn't part of the threat signal. She gave his brain the space to come out of survival mode. And when it did, that's when he could actually make a real choice. Now, how she did that, the specific steps, the boundaries that actually work, how do you target those foundations I mentioned? That's what we walk through step by step in Motivation Unlocked, because knowing the concept and actually implementing it in your real life, those are two different things. Here's what I want you to take away from today. They're not choosing addiction over you. Their brain is stuck in a pattern that makes the substance feel like survival. Your job isn't to make them choose you. Your job is to stop being part of the threat signal and start creating conditions where their brain can come back online. This is influence, not control. This is strategy, not confrontation. And listen, if you're hurting right now, if you're feeling like you're in second place, if you're exhausted from trying to be chosen, I see you. And there is a path forward that doesn't require you to keep begging for their attention. If you haven't subscribed yet, do that now, because next week we're flipping this entire conversation. We're talking directly to the person in addiction about why they keep lying about their drinking or using, even when they don't want to. If you know someone who needs to hear that message, make sure you come back and watch that video. Maybe you can share it with them. I'll see you then.